company's main focus is on the product. They don't really take into consideration what the customer wants. That's why they tend to be more technology companies such as Apple, especially right here in the UK with the average life cycle of a mobile phone being 18 months. Product orientation can sometimes be unnecessary. An example of this again would be Apple. They don't really listen to what the customer wants, and they just add things without really knowing if the customer really needed it. In the book Marketing Information for Products and Services, it says, product-oriented companies often work with the assumption that the company can always design and offer better products even without seeking customer inputs. Such organisations are therefore likely to be technology-oriented. This is a good summary of product orientation. However, I believe if technology companies invested in market research and customer needs, it could significantly increase the brand. A company with a sales orientation is all about selling the product and getting their product noticed by the customer. Getting their product out there is their main concern. An example of this would be Dell. They don't have the best products in the world, but they use sales and advertisement to get recognition. And I think we can all agree that they've become a household name. It's building a reputation for the brand through TV, radio, leaflets and many other forms of advertising. Some may say it's misleading as the brand's not necessarily the best. However, it is good quality for the price, therefore you're getting your money's worth. From the book, The Essentials of Marketing. The fundamental problem with the sales orientation as a product orientation is a lack of understanding of the needs of what the customer wants. Sales-oriented companies often find that despite the quality of the sales force, they cannot convince people to buy goods or services that they neither wanted nor needed. I think this just shows the risk with a sales orientation is that so much is put into advertising and sales that they may overlook the wants and needs of the customer. This may cause customers to go elsewhere. Product orientation has a little slogan which goes by stack 'em high and sell 'em cheap. The Essentials of Marketing book again states, some have referred to this orientation as a field of dreams orientation. From the movie's well-known line, if we build it, they will come. Fundamentally, this means a company of product orientation produces a high volume of products, literally thousands. Therefore, buying in bulk means you can get them cheaper. Selling at low price means that people are going to buy. An example of this is Primark. Selling products really cheap, in turn the customers are not really bothered about quality. However, a company of this orientation has to sell a lot to see a return. Therefore, they would need many stores and websites freely accessible to the consumer. Orientation is all about selling what the customers want, doing market and consumer research and making decisions based on those findings and always taking into consideration customer feedback. It's all about problem solving, as a market oriented company has to be willing to change to keep up with customer demands. Often these are market leaders. An example of this is Samsung, that are currently market leaders and more customer oriented than Apple and therefore attracting a lot more customers. I believe that they are market leaders as they keep the consumer at the heart of the business. No one is going to buy something that they don't need. That's why it's important to take into consideration customer needs. Deshpande, Farley and Webster in 1993 defined marketing orientation as a set of beliefs that puts the customer's interests first while not excluding these of all the stakeholders, owners, managers and employees. As we know, everyone within a business is involved in the marketing of that business. Therefore, satisfying stakeholders and consumers is the fundamental of being a successful marketing-orientated business. Customer orientation is so important. It's important to take into consideration customer feedback on what the customer market really wants and needs. Often organisations are more vulnerable after a sustained period of success. Therefore, it's important to stay focused, keep up with customers' changing behaviours, constant demand, and not become complacent. Compared to the other orientations that don't take into consideration customer feedback or the wants and needs of the market. Therefore, if customer attrition occurs, it could be absolutely detrimental to a company. However, each company has an orientation. It's really important to understand what orientation a company is, or what the orientation is of the company you work for, and use the skills and knowledge to market that organisation based on organisation orientation. Social media is now a huge factor in the effect of marketing. Reputation of business spreads whether it be word of mouth or through social media. Stakeholders are now interactive. If negative feedback is posted online, it could reach thousands of potential customers. Thus it cannot be ignored, and it is so important to communicate with stakeholders through new online means. One of the biggest marketing myths is a satisfied customer is a loyal customer. This may have been the case in past generations, but things like social media and the internet are changing consumer behaviour. There's many influences to whether a customer is loyal to your company. Things such as price comparison websites and celebrity endorsements may sway a customer to go with a different brand. Many firms had lost sight of why they existed, arrogantly believing that the market will buy whatever we choose to sell. This was taken from the book Loyalty Myths, Hype Strategies That Will Put You Out of Business. There is a lot more choice, which makes it hard for a company to have loyal customers. Oversupply means that people have so much more variety, they won't always go back to the same brand. Things like price comparison websites will give people the cheapest product rather than the best product quality. There are also many influences such as social media. If a customer reads a bad review, they're less likely to go back to that brand. That's why consumers can't be ignored. Family and friends are a huge influence to whether someone goes back to a brand or not. Customers can be satisfied with more than one company at a time supplying the same product. An example of this would be food companies who are product orientated. They do not take into consideration customer feedback. An example again would be Heinz beans. If a customer complained about the beans recipe, they're not likely to listen or change anything about the product as it works for them on a global scale, and they are a company that are thriving and really selling their product. However, customers who are unsatisfied are more likely to go back to this product as it's just something they buy every day and there's not really much thought process going into it. However, consumers who are extended or limited problem solving, buying products that takes more time, more of a thought process and holds a lot of risks. However, customers who are extended or limited problem solving, buying products that takes a lot more thought and hold many risks, need to be happy in order to complete purchase. This means some businesses' main values has to be satisfying the customer, which is a marketing orientated business. If people are dissatisfied, they are less likely to repeat purchase. This is a marketing myth as not all companies can afford to sustain a higher price. Companies such as Apple can up their price with the newest phone or device as they are product orientated and constantly changing and innovating their products. They are not customer orientated and customers know what they're getting with Apple. They expect higher prices of newer improved phones. An example of this would be McDonald's. People know what the product is worth, they know what they're going to get. It's cheap fast food, that's its selling point. So McDonald's could never up their prices because consumers just wouldn't buy it. Another example of this is Topshop. It's a high street brand aimed at the working class. No one will pay for high street products at couture prices. Topshop actually have a boutique for people who can afford to spend a little bit more on the clothes if that's what they really want to do. It's their choice though, it's not forced upon the customers. Another example of a company failing due to not keeping up with customers' changing behaviours is BHS. This company saw its demise in August 2016 as they failed to keep up with customer demands. Products were dated and the prices were really high. Marketing myths are important for a company to understand, as if they're misunderstood, it could prove fatal for a brand. Marketing myths are also a good tool to avoid making the wrong decisions. For example, one of the most misleading myths is one that I covered earlier. A satisfied customer is a loyal customer. Many believe this to be true. Anyone would think if a customer is happy with the product and satisfied, they are likely to return. This is not so, as customers are ever so more demanding and there is oversupply, and things such as price comparison website change customer behaviours and opinions. As you can see, understanding marketing myths is an important process in understanding your customer market and making sure you provide the best customer service possible.